Joe Rogan said that Diddy might avoid significant legal consequences, and he suggested that some powerful, high-profile figures could be tied to the wider situation, according to online discussion. Citing Kurt Metzger, Rogan also pointed to prosecutor Maureen Comey's involvement and argued that if Diddy were fully scrutinized, it could potentially bring added attention to other influential people as well. Rogan then questioned whether those connections could end up helping Diddy avoid more severe consequences, though that claim remains part of disputed commentary and unverified public debate.
Abandoned multiple allegations against rapper days before trial's end. Hey, he says,
wow.
Hey, remember I called it? This is Kurt Metzger on Twitter. Because James Comey's daughter is the prosecutor.
Yep.
Remember how well she swept up on the Ghislaine trail?
Yep.
Hey, who else called it?
Yep.
I can't be the only one. Yeah, he called it.
Yep.
He called it in he called it in the fucking green room of the mothership right when he found out. He goes, he's gonna walk. I'm like, what are you talking about? Have you heard these charges?
Yeah.
He's going to go to jail. Blah.
Yeah.
No, Metzger was right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then we I don't know what happened with
and
Ghislaine
you don't
Maxwell.
think
What's
they
she
could
doing
fake
right
the
now?
moon landing?
Yeah.
Shut the f up.
Joe Rogan questioned why the public was initially told that numerous high-profile individuals were allegedly connected to Diddy's case and that footage from his parties could reveal more names. Rogan pointed out that, despite those expectations, no major revelations or videos were publicly released. He suggested that the focus of the case became much narrower than many people had anticipated, raising questions about what happened to those earlier claims.
Bro, where's the videos? They were telling us that videos are going to come out, incredibly high-profile people doing horrendous things, evil things. People are going to go to jail. People are going to be shocked.
Yeah.
Where?
Right.
Nothing.
Well, like,
zero.
My thing about the Diddy thing is like, I don't really give a f. These people are they're of age. They're like 18 years old. And is it what he's doing, trying to like use people and leverage them into do these weird sexual things and like sick shit, just the most sick you could possibly think of. But like the way I look at it is these people are using this Diddy stuff. All it does is like take away from the real child thing that's going on with like underage kids, right? There's like what 300,000 something like missing kids. Like talking about Diddy and his oil parties with these 18-year-olds, like, do I think it's good? No. I want to beat up their dad, but other than that, I don't really give a f if there's like 18 to 19-year-olds that are doing this stuff, as long as they're not being like actually like physically.
Joe Rogan questioned why the public was initially led to believe that a number of high-profile people might be tied to Diddy's case, with some online discussions even suggesting that footage from his parties could potentially expose more names. He pointed out that, despite those early expectations, no major revelations or videos were ever publicly released. In his view, the case appeared to narrow far more than many people had assumed, and that shift left a lot of viewers wondering what happened to those earlier claims and why they never seemed to surface in any meaningful way.
So when we get down to the local elections, when we get down to the school board, we get down to the judges and the justices, that's so confusing for us. We've never played this game. This is another level of gangster. But I played this game before, you know? I started in 2004 when Voter died, and this is the evolution of that thought, of that empowerment, of that independence.
In an old interview, Diddy talked about politicians playing the gangster game, and he said he had already played those same games himself. At the time, it seemed like he was speaking about politics and voting, nothing more. But now, with recent allegations and public discussions swirling around the situation, some viewers are interpreting those remarks in a very different way. As more high-profile names get mentioned in connection with the controversy, people have started going back to that interview and asking whether his words may have carried a deeper meaning than they first appeared to have. That kind of reaction is exactly why people keep circling back to the story, because once a clip starts getting re-examined, every old statement begins to sound a little louder. Viewers are not just debating what was said back then, they are also asking why certain comments suddenly feel more relevant now, especially when the wider situation keeps drawing public attention, and many of the bigger questions still have no clear answers. So the conversation keeps moving between old interviews, current allegations, and the online speculation in the middle. And when people think there may be more context hiding behind those remarks, the discussion does not really fade away. It just gets more complicated, as new commentary keeps pulling the same moments back into the spotlight.
To read you something from their brief, listen to this. They say, freak-offs and hotel nights were highly choreographed sexual performances involving the use of costumes, role play, and staged lighting, which were filmed so Combs and his girlfriends could watch this amateur pornography later. Pornography production and viewing of this sort is protected by the First Amendment and thus cannot constitutionally be prosecuted. So what they're saying is, look, if you want to use the Mann Act to prosecute people who are moving prostitutes across state lines for commercial transactions, which again is what it's usually used for, that's one thing. But here, there's no commercial purpose. Diddy lost money. He ended up paying the prostitutes. The films were never distributed to anybody. The defense is saying it was for his pleasure and the pleasure of people who may have been participating. So they're saying, look, this is like the OnlyFans. It could be anything like that. And all of that is constitutionally protected and shouldn't be prosecuted.
As some of the major allegations tied to Diddy have reportedly been dismissed, his legal team has kept pressing its defense in court. His lawyer argued that the recorded encounters involved consenting adults, role-play costumes, and stage lighting, and described the material as private recordings made for personal viewing, not for commercial release. The defense also reportedly claimed that this kind of content is protected under the First Amendment and should not be treated as alleged criminal conduct. On top of that, they argued there was no financial motive behind the recordings, which they say makes the charges improper. Prosecutors, however, have reportedly pushed back strongly against that interpretation and continue to challenge the defense's position in court, keeping the dispute very much alive.
3 nights for you, Sharon. 3 nights.
3 nights. Full room at board.
Another thing, it's unlimited. If we become friends, you can stay for a long time. This is just a start. This is just a start to raise money for the kids. We didn't even talk about Miami. We may go from the Hamptons to Saturday, New York to Miami. We may show up a month late.
100,000?
100 right there, my man, right there.
100 in the back.
There have long been public moments involving Diddy that people have started revisiting after the recent legal developments. One example that keeps circulating online comes from an old charity auction where Diddy was seen joking about bidding on the chance for someone to spend time with him at one of his well-known Saturday night parties. Back then, the audience laughed and treated it like light entertainment, because nobody expected those comments to be viewed through a different lens years later. But after the allegations became public, many viewers went back to that clip and argued that some of the remarks now seem much more unsettling in hindsight.
I don't know if this is just made up myth or if this is true, but I'm told that when you go to a hotel, anytime you go to a hotel, you don't just check in the way everybody else does. You send someone ahead to prepare the hotel room for you.
It's called preparing the sexy.
Preparing the sexy.
Yeah.
What's preparing the sexy?
I mean, when I walk in, I definitely take pride in being the originator of the preparation of the sex.
Yes.
Yes, and that's candles. I like candles. I like tuberose. That's a smell. I like that scent. I'm attracted to scent.
What kind of scent? What kind of?
Tuberose.
Tuberose.
Yes.
Okay, as a scent you like.
Yes, it's a scent.
Okay.
Tuberose.
Yes.
I like lilies. I like white orchids. Roses and things of that nature. I'm into baths. So I like my bath at the right temperature. It's just little things that I personally like. I work hard and I like my room to be sexy.
Sure. You like to prepare the sexy, is what you're saying. You can't just count on the sexy. Prepare the sexy.
You have to make sure you go to do the proper measures to make sure that your sexy is there.
Right there. I'll go 100 in the back. Another widely discussed interview comes from Diddy's appearance on Conan O'Brien's show, where he reportedly talked openly about how much preparation went into hosting his parties. He described making sure everything was organized and explained just how important those gatherings were to him, which is why the clip later stayed in public discussion. Even though the interview was framed as light and playful at the time, many viewers have since pointed to it as another moment that seemed to take on a different meaning after allegations began circulating online. Once the older footage started spreading again, people began viewing that conversation through a much more cautious lens, and the discussion around it only grew.
I mean, it seems like what's going on is just like this weird cultish thing where they slowly get creep closer and closer and closer to this thing. Like, oh, I'm here now. All these famous people are here. They're doing this. Like
elaborate parties,
yeah.
Lots of money, everything you want, the golden carrot at the end of the stick.
Right.
So the thing is, he's not even being charged for any of the things he just brought up. He's not being charged for blackmail, which is kind of crazy. Because like, what did they do? Why did they tell us that there was all these videos of all these high-profile people and then silence, and then it never comes up once during the trial? There's none of that stuff in the trial. In the trial, it was his ex-girlfriend Cassie. They were talking about. So like, he's up for these 2 charges left, and it's like prostitution, something. It's like nothing stuff.
Even with those older clips getting shared all over again, a lot of the legal focus has still stayed on the allegations brought forward by Cassie Ventura. Joe Rogan questioned why so many viral moments and past interviews appeared to be getting less attention than the specific allegations being debated in court. He suggested that public conversation often stretches far beyond what is actually covered in the courtroom. Rogan also pointed out that plenty of people online seem to expect a much wider case, mainly because years of speculation around Diddy and his celebrity lifestyle had already built up that kind of expectation. In the end, though, the trial has mostly stayed centered on the evidence tied to the allegations prosecutors formally chose to pursue.
What's up, King son? You trying to show his life for us? Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. Yeah.
Over the years, Diddy has often been seen showing a lot of affection towards several male friends and artists in public. A number of interviews, event appearances, and behind-the-scenes clips have spread online, showing him hugging, praising, or speaking in ways that some viewers felt went beyond a typical celebrity friendship. One of the most widely shared videos appears to show Diddy interacting with rapper Meek Mill, and many people online describe that exchange as unusually flirtatious. Supporters say it just reflects his bold, outgoing personality. But critics argue those older moments have taken on a very different meaning now that allegations and ongoing legal disputes involving him are still being debated. That shift in how people read old footage is a big part of why the conversation keeps getting bigger online. What used to look like harmless celebrity banter is now being picked apart frame by frame, with viewers trying to connect past behavior to broader allegations and the public debate surrounding them. And once that happens, even casual moments can start to feel loaded. That is also why the reaction has gone far beyond one clip or one interview. Social media users keep revisiting old appearances, comparing reactions, body language, and comments, then asking whether any of it might mean something different in hindsight. None of that changes the fact that the key legal questions still sit with the formal case, but the online discussion has clearly expanded into its own separate narrative. So while supporters argue that some of these moments are being read too harshly, critics say the renewed attention is exactly why people are re-examining the public image around him. And as those conversations keep spreading, the gap between old entertainment clips and the current controversy only seems to get wider.
I think those rappers did some wild shit.
I mean, it was,
especially in the 90s.
Music business. It's a lot of people.
It's not just the music business. It's like, it's the extortion business.
Well, I mean, the rap game was crazy. That's a thing a lot of people don't realize is like, back in the day, especially like early rap game, you weren't just going to play at, what's the random theater that you would play in LA? What's like a big theater? I'm trying to think, the Orpheum or something like that.
Wiltern.
The Wiltern. Some guys were explaining to me, it was like, you would play at the local hood club. There was like a hood club that you could perform at. And then that was owned by the local drug dealer that was washing money there.
Right.
So this is where the idea of like checking in comes from. Have you heard of this term?
Yes.
Like checking in was basically like, hey, I want to make sure we're good because you're going to pay me. And if I don't check in, you might rob me because you're putting me up at the hotel and you know everything that's going on and you're a dealer. So you don't play by the rules.
Right. When you come to Houston, you're checking in with certain people.
Mr. Prince.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Prince.
Yeah.
You don't got to check in, Joe.
Joe Rogan has also talked more broadly about the music industry and how, over the years, it has reportedly been affected by a number of major controversies. He pointed to the R. Kelly case as one example of how troubling allegations in the entertainment world have surfaced before, and how quickly those stories can shift the public conversation. In Rogan's view, those moments are a reminder that fame and success do not necessarily place celebrities above accountability. At the same time, he stressed that public reaction should be kept separate from the legal process, since accusations and courtroom evidence are not always the same thing. That distinction, he suggested, matters a lot when people are trying to sort through high-profile cases.
I walk in there, I'm just so happy, and I'm just like kind of nervous, but then what's making me even more nervous is the music and the naked people walking around. So I'm like, the music is going fast, so I'm like feeling like a rush. I don't know if it's a good thing, I don't know if it's a bad thing. I just know I'm excited but nervous at the same time. That was my intuition telling me some shit was about to go down, or it was like some crazy going on. Long story short, I started to see unusual things, you know, people skinny dipping in the pool, P. Diddy running around like a crazy animal. I seen like a lot of, you know, bisexual, this type of people, trans, just different types of people. And I love everyone. You know, I've been in the industry, so like I don't discriminate on nobody. I love a lot of gays. I love anybody who is happy, anybody who is positive. But when it starts to get kind of crazy, I feel like I don't want to attach myself to that type of stuff.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, for all those in London that don't know what happens to the white man when he comes to a P. Diddy party, this is what happens to the white man.
It's so unfortunate.
After Diddy was reportedly arrested and the allegations tied to his parties became a major public talking point, more people started sharing their own stories about experiences they say they had with him. One of them was singer and content creator Tanaya, who spoke out in an interview about what she says happened when she attended one of Diddy's after-parties while trying to build her career in the music industry. Her account quickly added another layer to the ongoing online conversation, even as the claims remain part of public discussion rather than anything officially confirmed, and the allegations remain disputed online.
I seen Diddy, he rubs me on my shoulder, he asked me, how are you liking my house? And he kind of like startled me a little bit. So mind you, this feeling I was feeling, I'm not sure if it was because I'm thinking I'm gonna have to maybe sing or get signed or this is my opportunity. You know, you hear these in the industry, you've been singing for so long and you hear these stories like when you get your big break, you're gonna go through all this bullcrap and then one night it's just gonna change your life. So it's like you're gonna be a nobody at one moment and the next moment you just may be a superstar tomorrow. It's like an overnight celebrity type of thing. So that's just what I'm banking on. But then I get something different from Diddy. When he comes to me and he's rubbing on me and he's asking about, do I like his house? I'm feeling like a dark energy like in his eye. And I'm like, why is it giving scared? Like he's trying to, with his power, like, how are you liking my house? Like anything you want, let me know. Like, and then he tells me, go in the house. So after a while, he's watching me with the friends. Everybody is just watching me.
According to Tanaya, she showed up expecting a fairly normal celebrity gathering, but the mood reportedly shifted fast. She said she felt excited at first, then increasingly nervous as she moved through the property, and described getting the sense that something was off. Tanaya said she noticed behavior that struck her as unexpected, and as the night went on, the atmosphere allegedly became more and more uncomfortable. She also claimed that Diddy approached her directly, asked whether she liked his house, and encouraged her to go deeper inside. In her telling, the exchange left her feeling uneasy, so she chose not to follow what she believed was being suggested. Her interview has since pulled in millions of views as online discussion continues revisiting personal accounts tied to Diddy's parties after reports of his arrest and a federal investigation.
My name is Sheree Hayes, and I was part of the Freak Offs with Cassie Ventura and Sean Diddy Combs. It lasted from September 2012 to approximately March of 2015. I estimate somewhere between 8 and 12 times.
According to his testimony, Sheree Hayes said he reportedly took part in multiple private gatherings involving Cassie Ventura and Sean Combs over the course of several years. He later appeared in court as a witness, where he described the events and shared what he personally said he observed during his interactions with the two of them.
We also get calls for private parties. So I just got a standard call that night where a woman called me up and said, hey, it's my birthday and my husband says I can get some entertainment for me and my friends. I got a location, a time, and showed up with my dance bag ready to do a little striptease. And when I opened the door, I ended up opening up to a woman in a bathrobe, and it was For me, probably the most attractive woman that I've seen in prison.
According to his testimony, he was later brought in as a witness in Diddy's federal trial, where he was asked to describe what he says he personally experienced. Hayes explained that he usually worked as an entertainer at private parties and thought this was just another standard booking. He said the job came through a call from a woman who said she needed entertainment for what was described as a birthday celebration. But once he got there, he said the whole setting felt noticeably different from the kind of events he was used to, and that the atmosphere raised questions for him almost right away. And that shift is exactly why this account kept getting attention online. People were not just reacting to the headline, they were fixating on the way these stories seemed to line up with the larger public discussion around Diddy's parties and the people who say they were there. In that kind of atmosphere, even a simple explanation from a witness can take on a much bigger meaning, especially when viewers are already debating what was routine and what may have felt out of place. So when Hayes described the setting as unusual almost from the start, it gave the conversation another layer of uncertainty. Supporters and critics alike started reading into every detail, while others pointed out that the claims remain part of disputed testimony and online commentary, not settled fact. That is what made the reaction so intense, because people were now weighing personal accounts against a case that was already under heavy public scrutiny.
Of bachelorette parties, and I'm walking in thinking I'm coming into a crowd of people. But I walked into this very dimly lit room by candlelight, and what was the most odd thing was all of the furniture was covered in sheets. And she immediately explained to me the circumstances, that she was trying to set a sexy scene, that me and her were gonna sit on these couches and put baby oil on each other in a suggestive way. And at some point, her husband would come out and watch. But I'm not supposed to acknowledge him, look at him, have any eye contact. We're supposed to do our best to act like he's not even there. So it was way out of my comfort zone. My initial feeling was to question, but the minute I was told what was expected, she handed me a stack of money, essentially $2,000 for what was asked of a baby oil massage. It was something I was gonna give a go. Hey, look, I'm an opportunist, right? So I get a stack of money, I got this beautiful woman here.
Hayes testified that, before anything started, he was carefully walked through what his role would be and what was expected of him during the gathering. He said the instructions were not like anything he had dealt with in his usual entertainment work, and that alone made the situation feel unusual right away. According to his testimony, he was then given a substantial amount of cash before the event moved ahead. Hayes explained that getting paid up front made it clear to him this was not a normal private booking. He later told the jury that the whole experience still stood out as one of the strangest assignments of his career.
Middle of the baby oil play, Mr. Combs walks over and he takes like a pack of condoms and he just throws it on the couch and kind of says, "I'm ready to watch you, penetration in a very direct way," right? And that made me uncomfortable, and I could not. We stopped the session. She left the room, came back in, and then the conversation was different at the end, right? The conversation would usually be, "That was great, we'll see you next time." And the conversation this time was, "Well, we appreciate your privacy and being discreet, and thank you so much." And I just read between the lines, like, "Oh, that didn't go too well." And the next time I ended up in any scenario with them being mentioned or involved is I'm sitting with federal investigators.
According to Hayes, one person reportedly stayed mostly out of sight during the gathering, and Hayes said he was told not to speak to him or even acknowledge his presence. Hayes later said the whole situation felt well outside anything he had experienced in his usual line of work, and he described it as one of the strangest private events he had ever attended. His testimony was later referenced as part of the prosecution's evidence, as jurors heard from witnesses who recounted what they said they personally observed during those years.
Well, Pierce, let me ask you a question. From your journalistic perspective, have you ever noticed how in this industry, people untimely meet their demise soon as somebody else seems like they're having a problem? Have you ever seen that before?
Well, there was, of course, the case of one of his other ex-girlfriends, Kim Porter, who died of pneumonia at a very young age. You just referenced your own situation with pneumonia that you believe was deliberate poisoning. Do you believe that may be what happened to her?
Why are so many people coming down with pneumonia? Why is that happening to everybody? What is that about? Where have you ever seen this many cases of pneumonia associated with one situation? So, you know.
As the investigation tied to Diddy continues to draw attention, more people linked to his past have reportedly started speaking out about what they say they experienced. One of the interviews that appeared to get the most traction came when former celebrity bodyguard Big Homie CC appeared on Piers Morgan's show. In that conversation, he said he believes the situation around Diddy may be much larger than what the public currently knows. Big Homie also described Diddy as someone who was allegedly connected to exclusive gatherings for wealthy and influential guests, and he suggested that there are still a lot of details people have not heard yet. Those comments quickly added another layer to the online debate, especially since the broader discussion remains full of disputed claims, unverified reactions, and allegations that remain contested online.
He was the party guy. He was the person who lined up the parties and festivities for a lot of guys a lot more wealthy and affluent than him. Yeah. So, you know, I'm a person who believes that the Epstein's list is very similar to Diddy's list. I'm a believer in that. And, you know, whenever it comes to protecting women and children, I'm gonna be fierce. Big ups to my sponsor, Stallion Gear, for putting up funds to help us go out and help people. You know, I want to salute Michael Franzese because he's probably the only famous person who donated to our campaign for protecting women and children, going down to the orphanages.
He also said that speaking publicly about the case comes with serious risks and claimed he has dealt with multiple alleged threats throughout his career. During the interview, Big Homie went on to say he experienced pneumonia-like symptoms himself, a detail that drew added attention because Diddy's former partner, Kim Porter, was reported to have passed away from pneumonia. That said, no public evidence has established any connection between those events, and the speculation remains unverified. Big Homie also brought up a lawsuit that includes his name, saying the allegations in that filing do not match what he says actually happened. Since then, the interview has stirred plenty of debate online, with viewers wondering how much more could surface as the wider investigation continues.
The lawsuit states Diddy guided the minor into one of the back rooms and shut the door behind them. Diddy then allegedly offered the minor a sip of his alcoholic beverage. The plaintiff took a few sips and quickly began to feel the effects. What follows in the court document is an explicit account of sexual battery. The filing alleges that Diddy began rubbing the plaintiff's arm, and when the minor stated he felt uncomfortable, Diddy allegedly ignored his plea.
As more lawsuits keep surfacing around Diddy, the legal fight has reportedly started spilling far outside the courtroom and turning into a public battle over credibility and competing narratives. In one civil case, a plaintiff has alleged that Diddy was involved in a serious, unverified incident involving him when he was a young person after inviting him into a private room during a party. Diddy has denied those allegations, and his legal team has strongly pushed back, calling the claims false and insisting that he has never been involved in any such misconduct incident. His representatives have also suggested that some of the lawsuits may be motivated by money, and they have warned that they could pursue legal action against people they believe are making fabricated accusations. That pushback has only made the conversation louder online, because every new denial seems to pull in even more speculation about what is actually verifiable and what is still being argued behind the scenes. For a lot of viewers, the bigger issue is not just the lawsuits themselves, but the growing clash between public allegations, legal defenses, and the way social media keeps turning every new detail into a larger theory. And that is exactly why this story keeps hanging around in the public eye. People are not just reacting to the claims, they are reacting to who says they know something, who says they do not, and which parts of the story remain unconfirmed. As more commentary gets added to the mix, the focus keeps shifting from one accusation to the next, while the larger question of credibility stays front and center. Even with years of allegations, witness accounts, and non-stop public attention around the case, Diddy is currently reported to be listed for release from federal prison on February 23, 2028. Federal Bureau of Prisons inmate records indicate that he is serving a 50-month sentence at FCI Fort Dix in New Jersey. That projected release date has already set off a lot of discussion online, with many viewers saying they expected a much longer sentence. Others have pointed out that the timeline appears to reflect the convictions and charges the court actually settled on, not every allegation or rumor that has circulated publicly over the years. If this case has you watching every new update and sorting through the court rulings, the public reactions, and the claims still being debated, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment. And see you on the next one.